Rachel Carson's environmental novel Silent Spring impacted the environmental movement in the 1960s. The content of the novel persuaded legislation to take action and pass bills to protect the public and the environment from the harmful effects of pesticides. Today, her work can be seen in the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency and in the banning of DDT and many of the other pesticides mentioned in her book.
Rachel Carson was born in 1907 and she soon became fascinated with nature. In 1962, Silent Spring was published. It was a way for Carson to warn the public about the dangerous side effects of pesticides, especially DDT. She was able to alert people about what the pesticide agencies and the government were not addressing.
A spokesman for the chemical industry, Dr. Robert White Stevens.
The major claims in Miss Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, are gross distortions of the actual facts, completely unsupported by scientific experimental evidence and general practical experience in the field.
Even with harsh opposition from the chemical companies, Rachel Carson was able to lead the new generation to a more environmentally healthy future. Rachel Carson was a major leader in the environmental movement, even when she did not affect it directly. Others still carried her lessons into their lives, and some were even able to make a difference in the way the environment is treated and viewed. One of these people was President Nixon, who in the 1970s not only started the EPA, but also signed a number of acts that benefited the environment. Some of these acts were the Marine Mammals Act, the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, and the Extended Clean Air Act. The most influential of these acts is the Marine Mammals Act, which was passed in 1972 and helped save many species that were being fished and hunted in the ocean. It also monitored what people could put in the water and if it could be harmful to humans and marine life. President Nixon took Rachel Carson's lessons into account when he became president and was able to make a large change in the condition of the environment. President Nixon took a giant step on the road to an environmentally healthy future by using the past's mistakes to shape a better future. As Rachel Carson said in Silent Spring, "Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. There is something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature, the assurance that dawn comes after night and spring after winter." Another person who took after her and used her lessons was Supreme Court Justice William O. Douglas. He stood up for the environment in a time when many people thought that new technology and improvements, no matter how bad for the environment, was the best path to take. In 1971, an issue came to the Supreme Court when the Sierra Club wanted to stop a ski resort from opening in a remote valley in the Sierra Nevada range of California. Douglas took the side of the Sierra Club and thought they should be given a legal standing. By expressing his concern for the environment and the endangered and rare land, this land was able to be reserved. With his help, the valley is now part of the Sequoia National Park and safe from anyone who might wish to change or destroy the beautiful place. This suit not only launched the Earth Justice Program, it also established the citizen-enforced environmental law. William O. Douglas went so far as to say that Silent Spring was the most important chronicle of this century for the human race. Douglas was a major supporter of Rachel Carson in her life and in her death. He carried her lessons into the decades after her and motivated others to take action in the matter of the environment.
Rachel Carson's Silent Spring was able to save the environment that was being covered in pesticides. By writing this book, she was able to motivate people like President Nixon and many other environmentalists into taking action.
People start writing her letters and talking about the impact of aerial spraying.
Serious infantile paralysis epidemic, health authorities of the city of San Antonio, Texas, attacked the germ carriers throughout the city. With the more discovered DDT and special sprayers, sections of the city are blanketed with the insecticide.
So suddenly DDT becomes sort of this magic potion.
It begins with the war-born development of DDT. This diabolical weapon of modern science saved millions of humans, but killed billions of insects. Man, with this newly discovered force, has at long last gained the upper hand in our age-old struggle. Just like these mosquito larvae, it came from laboratories where top scientists from famous universities and from industrial and government organizations collaborated to develop something new and different. They succeeded. They perfected Pest-Roy, the most effective weapon man has ever wielded against insects.
There's a famous scene where one of the chemical people eats a spoonful of DDT on camera to show, hey guys, this is not toxic.
At the time, DDT was sprayed everywhere, from zoos to right in people's neighborhoods, often without their consent. This was known as aerial spraying. DDT had been the pesticide the government was using to cure malaria and was considered a great technological advancement. However, when Silent Spring came out, the public was faced with the harsh reality. Pesticides were not only unsafe for the environment, but also for humans.
Rachel Carson's work can be seen everywhere today, from the founding of the EPA to the creation of the Wilderness Act. Although it wasn't entirely her direct impact, she was a big contributor to the resulting movement that took place. Shortly after the publication of Silent Spring in 1962, Carson testified before Congress about the aerial spraying of DDT. After hearing her testification, Congress passed the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, in 1969. This act focused on the protection of the environment and also established the creation of the President's Council on Environmental Quality. The NEPA was created to prevent the type of environmental disasters that Rachel Carson informed the public about. Other acts like the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Wilderness Act did a similar job of establishing a safer environment for the public and organisms. Rachel Carson's many convincing speeches and testimonies, which included specific examples and suggested improvements, gave the government a push towards creating a safer environment clear of chemicals. This can most strongly be seen in the ban of DDT in 1972. No other book had brought so much awareness to the public about pesticides. This made it evident who started and engineered the future of the modern environmental movement. She approached a very controversial topic that put so much pressure on the government that they had to make some changes. Also, less than a year after her book was published, 40 bills about pesticides had been introduced to state legislatures.
After the publishment of Silent Spring, many changes occurred to the attitude of the public about the pesticide industries and the government. The public was upset that the government had not warned them about the dangerous effects of pesticides. Quickly, the government created many special groups to regulate and research the products being used on the environment. One of these groups is the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, which was founded in the 1970s by President Nixon.
She also persuaded the government to create more environmental groups and facilities to keep the environment safe and healthy. If not for her, the world could be dangerous and harmful to everything and everybody, but because of her, the environment is more healthy and flourishing. Even today, nearly 70 years later, she is still remembered by the present generation for her impressive work on environmental health and safety. We remember her with various types of memorials, from statues to website logos and cartoons. She has had a heavy impact on the chemical production field. We remember her impact from all the hard work and dedication she exhibited to create the safe environment that we have today.
Contamination of the environment with harmful substances is one of the major problems of modern life. The world of air and water and soil supports not only the hundreds of thousands of species of animals and plants, it supports man himself. In the past, we have often chosen to ignore this fact. Now we are receiving sharp reminders that our heedless and destructive acts enter into the cycles of the earth and in time return to bring hazard to ourselves. Rachel Carson's Statement to Congress, 1963.